Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pigs on the Run from PigWorks and P&G. I'm Betsy Ross, and our guest is a Cincinnati gal who left for Texas, came back to her hometown, and won the 2018 Flying Pig Marathon. She has gone on to run in the Olympic marathon trials, and oh, by the way, now she is a star on Instagram. Caitlin King. Caitlin, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me on. It's so much fun.
Oh, it's so good to see you. When last we talked, you were in Fort Worth, you were coaching at the college level, and you were working in a running store. So get us up to date.
Wow, life's changed a lot since then. I actually am no longer coaching at the collegiate level, which is a little bit of a blessing in disguise considering that college sports are a little bit all over the place right now. I do miss it a lot, but I actually work in the defense industry for Lockheed Martin. So I love doing that. I'm in supply chain and I no longer work at a running store. Lockheed Martin takes up all of my time. But yeah, it's been quite the ride the last couple of years since first winning the 2018 Flying Pig. So it's been pretty good.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I do want to talk to you about the Olympic marathon trials, but before we get to that, let's talk about winning the Flying Pig Marathon. This was not a distance that you had a lot of experience in running, but you come back to Cincinnati and you win the marathon. What did it mean for you to be able to win the Flying Pig?
Yeah, in 2018, that was the second marathon that I've ever run, and I stepped on that starting line having a lot of expectations, but I think my biggest expectation was just to have a lot of fun. I had run one marathon. My expectation for the marathon was totally different than it had been that first time. I knew a lot of things were going to change. So when I got to that race, I just remembered trying to stay calm through as much of the first half as I could. And then once I realized I had a pretty good shot at winning it after I got through the halfway point, I think really a lot of adrenaline pulled me through the rest of it. So I don't think it's any secret that winning that race really kind of set the tone for me for the rest of my marathoning career in the last 2 years. It's been pretty eventful ever since. And I loved coming back and having that race in Cincinnati to keep pushing me to do the things that I knew I was supposed to do.
Well, that's great. The Olympic marathon trials, of course, one of those amazing things that you were being able to be part of. It was really the last hurrah for running this year in the end of February. You were one of 4 Flying Pig winners to be running there in the Olympic marathon trials. It was Ann Flower, Amy Robillard, Autumn Ray, and you. Tell us about that experience. It looked like it was just absolutely fantastic.
It was a blast. I think that whole day from start to finish, I mean, it really didn't finish because I didn't really go to sleep that night, but it was so much fun. I think that all of the women out there just had a great time together. It was pretty brutal conditions. That's a course I hopefully don't ever have to run on a course like that ever again, but never say never. It was pretty rough. The win that day was also pretty intense too, but we had just had so many people out there for supporting us that it was hard to not have fun and not be engaged. From start to end, there were people lining the street just for this entire 8-mile loop. And I just remember looking up and just it was never a quiet moment. There was never a dull moment. So, and I got to spend a lot of that weekend with my family who traveled and came and watched me. And it was one of the best weekends I've ever had in my entire life. I think I'd worked really hard to get to that point. And so finally being there and just seeing that accumulation of hard work, and not just from me, but from my support system too, that was fantastic. And then just being out on that road with so many incredible women that have full-time jobs, that are moms, that, do so many things in life instead of just run every single day. It really inspires you to keep doing the things that you're doing, so that there's no timeline, there's no time limit, there's no cap at how old I'm going to be to when I can't do this anymore. So just motivates you to just keep giving it everything you've got until you just decide you don't want to anymore.
Well, it was so fun to have you represent Flying Pig when you were there. Your training in 2019, of course, you were training for the Flying Pig, you were training for the Olympic trials, had a bit of a setback. You have been pretty honest about the trials and tribulations and really runner safety and what you think about runners being out there and keeping themselves safe. Talk a little bit about what you went through and really your comeback from that.
Yeah, I was attacked by a pit bull, and it was a pretty intense moment in my life. Just it happened in early March of 2019, at 9 weeks before I was supposed to step on the starting line. And just to be really honest, I always am very open about this experience. It was probably the hardest thing I'd ever had to go through. I think that because it wasn't even an injury that I could have prevented on my own. It was something that, came out of absolutely nowhere, but I looked at it pretty I tried to start looking at it pretty positively after I crossed the finish line in second, which I think Ann Flower had an amazing day. I just came up a little bit short, but that finishing that race in second gave me a lot of time to just step back and think, okay, what do I need to do to take care of myself? I really emphasized how much I should have actually recovered. I tell everyone I probably shouldn't have run that race, but I was gonna run that race no matter what, because it was the best and worst thing I did. Worst in terms of probably my health. I was just probably not fit to do it that day, but the best because I would have been more heartbroken if I hadn't have tried, and been more scared, I think, if I hadn't have tried. But in terms of runner safety, it's definitely been difficult to find more people to run with right now, just in the current situation that we're in with COVID-19. I've been meeting up with friends in groups, and we have a good little system going on, but there's been a lot of times where I've found myself just training more alone than I have been before. Everyone's schedules have gotten pretty mixed up and pretty different, but this morning was, I think, my first 5 a.m. run day with 5 people. So we all felt pretty comfortable, and that was good. But I'm a pretty big advocate of making sure you're aware of your surroundings. There's obviously a lot of crazy things that could happen. I think we've heard on the news a lot of pretty tragic things have happened to a lot of women that have been out and running, and there's just things that are not acceptable, and you just need to, be prepared, and hopefully you have somebody with you if anything like that happens, but to always just prepare yourself too.
Right. Down in Texas, have you been having any races, any formal races, 5Ks or anything like that?
There have been a few around here. I haven't participated in any. It's been a little bit interesting to try to figure out what my bearings were going to be for a while. After the trials, my plan was to run Flying Pig, which got postponed, obviously, to October. And then once that news broke, in late June, that we were going to postpone, I think I trained for another week and then really stepped back and was like, it was hard for me to keep going without having that destination. And that's just the competitiveness in me, wanting to have an actual race moment. So I actually took a step back, and my coach and I reevaluated my goals, and I'm gonna have kind of my own little race series of trying to break my own time in the 5K and the mile. So I get to test my speed out there a little bit. But I know that the virtual races have been amazing for so many people. They can get out and still have those days that they planned on having, and all their hard work can come to life. And it might not be what we all expected or wanted, but everyone's just making the best of it.
And really, that's all you can do right now. But I do love the fact that you posted the countdown clock to the 2021 Flying Marathon.
2021, it's in 7 months, and how many days right now, I don't know, but you can't get me to that start line any faster. I will be ready.
A lot of people feel the same way. Caitlin Keene, thank you so much for being with us. And yes, do follow her on Instagram, because you're very entertaining and very clever.
Thank you.
Caitlin, thanks so much for being with us on Pigs on the Run.